In the footage, several people who are struggling to remain standing are seen stumbling in front of an elevator. As they lose their balance, they move uncontrollably toward the elevator doors. With the sudden load applied to the doors, they flex far more than expected under the force of the impact. The individuals are pushed toward the void behind the doors, and a very dangerous situation quickly develops. This situation reminds us of a basic rule. Elevator doors are not designed to support human weight or withstand impact. In a fatal moment of pure instinct, a woman tries to brace a tipping forklift with her bare hands. It is a tragic battle against physics that no human can win. As the multi-ton machine collapses, it serves as a sobering reminder, or never value the equipment or the load over your own life. When heavy machinery begins to fall, the only safe response is to get out of the way immediately. This guy's pouring concrete on a slab, and the whole thing just gives out, but he grabs the pump hose and hangs on, walked away without a scratch. This guy climbs an electricity pole with no gear, no training, and no shoes. But what could go wrong? A massive spark. That's what somehow we walked away. In the footage, the ground and the supporting system unexpectedly collapse during concrete pouring. Under the weight of wet concrete, the structure loses stability, and the work area becomes hazardous. This situation highlights a fundamental rule of safe work. A fully comprehensive scaffold and support system must be installed before concrete pouring. Formwork and props must be designed to safely carry the load of wet concrete. He's pulling a car into the repair shop, nice and slow. His colleague's just sitting there on a chair, then something goes wrong. He accelerates and the car hits the wall. This man knocks over a stack of tires, then turns his back. Problem is, another stack was leaning on that one without support. It starts to tilt and comes down. In the footage, an excavator is seen moving through a crowded site with its bucket raised. As the machine approaches, two workers are waiting just a few meters away, leaning against a wall. As the excavator maneuvers, the bucket sweeps through a wide range of motion, and the steel edge aligns with the spot where the workers are standing. With a sudden movement, the bucket makes contact with the wall, clearly revealing how dangerous this area is. This situation reminds us of a fundamental rule of safe work. Machines never stand within the operating radius of heavy machinery. Even the smallest movement of equipment, like an excavator, can generate serious force. For this reason, exclusion zones must be established around machines and kept completely clear. In the footage, a worker is seen trying to maintain balance on a round pipe at a considerable height above the ground. In an industrial gallery environment, machines are operating, and walkways divide the area. The worker chooses to walk over the pipe as a shortcut. However, the pipe is not designed as a walking surface, and balance is quickly lost. This incident demonstrates a basic rule of safe work. Pipes and equipment are not walkways. Working at height must only be carried out using proper scaffolding, platforms, or ladders. Safety harnesses and lifelines are not optional. They are mandatory. In the footage, a newly completed sidewalk suddenly collapses. People walking on it move downward together with the forming void. The incident shows that even a structure that appears finished can unexpectedly pose a risk. This situation reminds us of a fundamental rule of safe work. Construction quality and inspections must be carried out meticulously, not only during construction, but also before handover. Ground and structures must have their load-bearing capacity and stability verified before being opened for use. In the footage, a worker at a fuel station is seen cleaning the ground near the service area while vehicle traffic continues normally. A car moves forward after refueling. The driver, focused on exiting, does not notice the person working on the ground, and a risky situation quickly develops. This incident demonstrates a basic rule of safe work. Visibility and communication are vital in areas with vehicle traffic. Workers should not work on the ground in active traffic zones, and high visibility clothing must be used. Drivers must always check their surroundings before moving. A worker is climbing a ladder while carrying an AC unit halfway up. The ladder snaps in half and he goes down. A truck is making a turn, and there's a worker right in its blind spot. The driver can't see him and makes contact. Luckily, the truck stops just in time. The worker slides out from underneath. Shaken but safe blind spots are no joke. Two cranes on a barge lifting a heavy load together. Something goes very wrong, and one of them tilts and goes over when one fails. In a tandem lift, the other often can't handle the sudden shift in weight, so seconds later the second crane collapses as well. In the footage, ceramic pieces stacked on an upper platform are being removed one by one as one piece is taken out. It unintentionally makes contact with another piece beside it. This small contact triggers the unstable stack with the movement of the first piece. The pieces behind it begin shifting one after another. In a short time, the stack loses its integrity and the pieces move downward in a chain reaction. This incident clearly shows a basic rule with stacked and fragile materials. Even a single contact can create a chain reaction. Materials must not be handled before being secured, and stack stability must be ensured. Safety comes from evaluating the entire chain. In the footage, a busy warehouse area with continuously operating conveyor belts is shown under time pressure. Two workers decide to use the belts as a shortcut to cross to the other side. When they step onto the moving belt, the rotating surface begins to slide beneath their feet. One worker loses balance and moves toward the narrow gap, where the belts meet. A single wrong step during an ordinary shift quickly turns into a serious hazard. This incident clearly reminds us of a basic rule. Conveyor belts are not designed for people moving. Belts must not be stepped on or used as walkways. Safety is achieved by using the correct path, not shortcuts. In the footage, a worker is seen standing on forklift forks. While the forklift is moving, since forks are not designed to carry people, this position creates an unstable and uncontrolled situation. When the vehicle moves at the same time, the risk increases rapidly. The incident shows how a behavior that seems routine can quickly turn into a serious danger. This situation clearly demonstrates a basic rule: people must never be carried on forklift forks. In the footage, a worker inside a factory is seen performing a routine operation with a large press machine. After starting the machine, he approaches the equipment to adjust the material inside. At that moment, the press unexpectedly begins moving again and enters its closing cycle. The incident clearly shows that machines do not always behave as expected. This situation clearly demonstrates a basic rule before working on energy-powered machines. The system must be placed in a safe state. Press machines must have complete guarding, and no intervention should be made without applying LOTO procedures. Safety is achieved through proper procedures, not habits. In the footage, a truck is seen reversing very close to the entrance of an office or work area. During the maneuver, the vehicle reverses rapidly without sufficient warning or physical barriers in place. The truck breaches a glass door or wall and moves into the interior space, creating a serious hazard due to the impact. A person sitting at a desk very close to the point of impact is directly affected by the incident. What begins like a normal vehicle movement turns into an uncontrolled and highly dangerous situation. Within seconds, this incident clearly shows a basic rule. Areas with vehicle traffic must be physically separated from office and workspaces. Impact resistant barriers should be installed in areas accessible to trucks, and safe distances must be maintained. Safety is ensured not only through attention, but through strong physical protections. In the footage, a new section is being added to the mast of a tower crane at a busy, high-rise construction site from the outside. The operation appears routine. However, the platform locking procedures have not been completed under load. The jacking system loses alignment, and structural components begin to move downward. Unexpectedly, the event unfolds very quickly, leaving no time for intervention. A routine climbing operation turns into a high-risk situation due to a lack of verification. This incident clearly demonstrates a basic rule. Crane climbing operations must not begin until all systems are fully verified. Locking pins must be engaged, pressure and alignment checks must be completed, and the danger zone must be cleared. Safety is achieved through controlled planning, not haste. In the footage, a forklift is seen suddenly losing stability during a load-lowering operation when the load makes uneven contact with the ground, or the forklift stops unexpectedly. The weight distribution changes rapidly. This sudden shift causes the forklift to lose stability and quickly creates a serious risk. A routine lowering operation can become dangerous due to a small imbalance. This situation clearly reminds us of a basic rule when lowering loads with a forklift. Ground conditions, speed, and load balance must be carefully controlled. Loads should be lowered slowly and in a controlled manner, and sudden stops should be avoided. Safety is achieved by anticipating and controlling every movement. In the footage, an elderly man standing close to the side of an escalator loses his balance while holding the moving handrail. His body weight shifts forward, and the handrail begins pulling him upward. Although he tries to regain balance, he is partially lifted off the ground. Within a short time, people nearby quickly recognize the situation and intervene. One person securely holds the man, while another presses the emergency stop button. The escalator is stopped, and together, they carefully lower the man back onto safe ground. The incident ends without harm, thanks to fast and correct intervention. This situation reminds us of a basic rule: escalators must be used with care. People should stand in the center of the step, hold the handrail, and avoid leaning to the sides. Safety is achieved through proper posture and continuous awareness. In the footage, a worker is seen standing at the bottom of a deep and narrow trench, guiding a heavy pipe being lowered by ropes. The trench walls are steep and unsupported. During the operation, the ground shifts and the walls quickly lose stability. This situation highlights a fundamental rule of safe work. Unsupported trenches must not be entered. Trenches must be protected with proper shoring, shielding, or sloping. Soil is always in motion, and unprotected ground poses serious risk. In the footage, a truck-mounted crane is seen lifting a heavy rock. During the lift, the crane boom extends beyond the recommended angle, and the load moves outside the stability limits. This causes the vehicle's balance to deteriorate rapidly. This incident reminds us of a fundamental rule of safe work. In crane operations, stability is always the priority. Lifting capacity, boom angle, and ground conditions must be considered, and loads must not be moved outside the crane's safe working limits. In the footage, one of the stacks loses balance while large glass panels are being unloaded from a truck. The panels quickly change direction and move toward the area where a worker is standing nearby. This incident demonstrates a basic rule of safe work. Heavy and fragile materials must be secured using appropriate lifting and fastening equipment. No one should stand in the fall zone during unloading. In the footage, a forklift is seen carrying a large and unstable load that completely blocks the operator's forward view. At the same time, some workers are standing beneath the suspended load area. During placement, one of the upper packages shifts and falls downward. This situation reminds us of a fundamental rule of safe work. If the load blocks visibility, the forklift must be operated in reverse. The suspended load zone and swing area must be kept completely clear. Otherwise, small mistakes can turn into major hazards. In the footage, a truck is seen reversing toward a concrete platform. A worker stands on the platform, guiding the driver. Meanwhile, an unaware person enters the narrow space between the truck and the wall and quickly ends up in a dangerous position. This incident demonstrates a basic rule of safe work. Loading areas must be closed to unauthorized personnel and clearly defined with barriers and warning signs. Before any vehicle movement, it must be confirmed that everyone is in a safe position. A worker riding on a large truck that is turning in front of a shop is seen losing his balance while the truck is maneuvering. The worker falls off the vehicle and ends up extremely close to the path of the wheels. What begins like a normal turning maneuver quickly turns into a high-risk situation due to the movement of the heavy vehicle. This clearly demonstrates a basic rule: people must not ride on trucks or heavy vehicles without proper seating and safety equipment. Riding on the exterior of vehicles is prohibited, and drivers must check their surroundings before moving. In China, workers were transporting a heavy glass panel when the load suddenly became unstable. The panel shifted and trapped one worker in a dangerous position, leaving limited space to move. The worker was reported injured during the incident, which highlighted the risks of moving heavy materials without proper stability. Controls. Heavy or oversized loads should always be transported on stable platforms with proper support and restraints. On December 21, 2022, a roadside tea shop in India was operating close to an active roadway. The shop owner was preparing tea while a customer sat inside the shed structure during normal traffic movement. A tempo vehicle suddenly left the road and entered the shop area, striking the shed and damaging the setup. The people inside reacted quickly and moved away. Roadside shops should be protected with barriers or sufficient distance from traffic lanes. Drivers must reduce speed, stay alert, and maintain lane discipline near pedestrian and roadside activity. On December 2016 in Merenque, São Paulo, Brazil, a man participated in a recreational bungee jumping activity arranged by a commercial operator during the jump from a bridge. The connection between the jumper and the bungee system failed, and the cord detached as he was descending. Following an investigation, local police concluded that both human and mechanical factors contributed to the failure, and the owners of the bungee jump company were formally charged with negligent homicide and related procedural offenses. Unsafe conditions arise when adventure activities are conducted without thorough verification of equipment. A worker was positioned on a tree using a chainsaw to cut the trunk, while a crane was tied to the trunk with a rope to prevent it from falling onto a nearby house as the cut progressed. The weight of the trunk caused the tree to lean unexpectedly. The crane and attached rigging shifted and made contact with the worker on the tree. Crane-assisted tree cutting requires careful planning of load, weight balance, and worker positioning. Workers must be clear of all potential movement paths. Once a cut begins, and cutting should only proceed after confirming stable rigging and clear communication. On February 28, 2023, at a vehicle repair area in El Salvador, a mechanic was working beneath a bus that was raised for maintenance when the supporting hydraulic jack was manipulated incorrectly and lost stability. The heavy bus unexpectedly descended and landed on the mechanic's position. Co-workers nearby attempted to assist, but were hindered by the weight of the vehicle. Unsafe support of raised vehicles creates a hazardous environment during repair work. Heavy vehicles should only be lifted and supported, using properly rated and inspected lifting equipment with additional secure supports in place. On December 12, 2017, in China, a woman entered a multi-level automated parking garage while operating a smartphone and not fully observing her surroundings. Surveillance footage shows that she walked into the vehicle access area as automated shutters began to close. Shortly afterward, the platform designed to transport vehicles between levels activated and started descending, with the woman standing on it. She was carried down to the basement level, where a vehicle was moving within the parking area as part of normal operations. Due to limited situational awareness and the automated nature of the system, the vehicle made contact with the woman. Situational awareness is critical in areas that use automated or moving equipment. Using mobile devices while walking can significantly reduce attention to hazards, especially in environments such as parking facilities. On November the 19th, 2022, in India, an incident occurred near a shop that was undergoing construction work. Temporary scaffolding and wooden support framing had been installed along the street to support ongoing activities. The structure extended over a sidewalk area that remained open to pedestrian movement during the day. While people were walking beneath, the set-up sections of the temporary scaffolding and wooden poles suddenly collapsed onto the pedestrian path. Several individuals were narrowly missed as the materials fell into the public walkway. The collapse caused immediate disruption and alarm in the area. No serious injuries were reported, and the incident primarily highlighted the risks created by unsecured temporary structures in public spaces. Temporary construction structures must be designed, installed, and inspected to safely withstand expected loads and environmental conditions. Pedestrian routes should be clearly diverted or physically separated from overhead work areas to eliminate exposure to falling materials. Construction supervisors should ensure scaffolding is properly braced. On January 15, 2022, an incident occurred in China late at night. A rideshare designated driver had completed his work and was exiting the residential building lobby. The entrance was fitted with a large, heavy decorative gate constructed with glass and metal components. As the individual attempted to close the gate, the structure suddenly detached from its fittings and collapsed into the lobby area. The incident was recorded by a fixed surveillance camera inside the building. The individual was later discovered several hours after the collapse. Large doors, gates, and decorative structures in residential and commercial buildings must be treated as critical safety equipment, not cosmetic features. Property managers should ensure that hinges, fasteners, and support fittings are properly engineered, securely installed. On December 13, 2024, an incident occurred during a loading operation involving a forklift and a truck at a logistics worksite. A forklift operator was transporting a load that restricted forward visibility. At the same time, a truck driver entered the marked maneuvering zone, identified by safety lights around the forklift. As the forklift continued its movement, the reduced visibility and the presence of the truck driver within the operating perimeter created a confined space situation. The two work activities overlapped, leaving insufficient clearance during the maneuver. Safe loading and unloading depend on strict role separation and adherence to established protocols. Forklift operators must adjust travel direction when visibility is obstructed. On 30 August 2021 in Indonesia, a workplace incident occurred during renovation activities at the dock area. A crane was being used to transfer concrete material from a truck to piling structures using a suspended bucket. 3 workers were positioned on the bucket as part of the operation. During the lift, the crane cable unexpectedly failed, causing the bucket to fall from an estimated height of approximately 10 meters. This incident demonstrates the risk of conducting lifting operations without ensuring the integrity of lifting equipment and proper personnel positioning to prevent similar incidents. Personnel should not ride on lifting buckets or suspended loads. On November 4, 2022, in Shanghai, China, a worker was injured during the unloading of heavy metal coils from a flatbed truck at an industrial site. While attempting to untie the fasteners securing one of the coils, a coil unexpectedly broke loose, rolled off the truck, and made contact. Handling and transporting heavy loads requires strict adherence to secure fastening and isolation procedures. Workers should never position themselves under suspended or unsecured loads, and only trained personnel should adjust restraints while equipment is stationary. On March 2, 2022, in Yemen, a truck driver was inflating a large truck tire at a repair workshop. While standing on the tire and connecting the air hose, the driver did not properly control the air pressure. The tire suddenly ruptured, producing a forceful explosion. CCTV footage captured the event, showing the rapid and unexpected nature of tire explosions during inflation. High-pressure tires can explode suddenly if air pressure exceeds the recommended limits. Workers should always use proper inflation equipment, including pressure regulators, and maintain a safe distance while inflating tires using protective barriers. On July 5, 2018, in Chengdu, Sichuan, China, a truck driver operating a dump truck encountered a problem with the cargo bed's lifting mechanism while checking the underside of the raised bed to diagnose the issue. The mechanism suddenly failed, causing the cargo bed to drop. Checking mechanical problems beneath a loaded vehicle is extremely hazardous before inspecting the underside of a dump truck or similar equipment. Operators should unload or redistribute cargo to reduce weight and potential energy in the system. Mechanical lock supports or jacks should be used to secure the bed before approaching it. In China, a worker operating a 3-wheeled loader loaded with bricks noticed a minor mechanical issue on the underside of the vehicle. The operator leaned beneath the machine to inspect and attempt to fix while it was still energized and carrying its load. During this action, the loader unexpectedly moved, causing contact with the worker. The mistake was attempting to inspect or repair machinery while it was loaded and active. Leaning beneath operating equipment can quickly turn a small issue into a serious hazard. Workers should always fully stop and isolate machinery. On July 18, 2022, in Xinjiang, China, a family's holiday took a dangerous turn at a scenic overlook on the Duku Highway when their car began to roll toward a cliff's edge. Surveillance video shows the vehicle moving unexpectedly after it had been parked, prompting the occupants to attempt stopping it. 2 passengers managed to exit the back seat before the vehicle went over the edge. A woman in the front seat was initially unable to get out, and the car plunged down the slope. Emergency services responded to the scene, and the woman survived the descent with hip injuries and was transported for medical care. Incidents involving vehicles near steep drop-offs can escalate rapidly when a vehicle is not properly secured. Always set the parking brake and ensure the vehicle is in gear before exiting, especially on slopes or near edges. Avoid disengaging brakes or leaving vehicles unattended on uneven ground. On February 16, 2022, in Guatemala, a moderate earthquake with a magnitude of approximately 6.2 struck parts of the country. During the early morning hours, as the ground shook, a resident stepped outside his home onto a nearby pathway. At that moment, an exterior wall of a nearby house made of adobe began to collapse under the seismic forces and fell toward him. Even small tremors can dislodge walls or building elements that are not reinforced to withstand shaking. People should stay clear of exterior walls and unstable structures. During earthquakes, move to open areas if safe to do so, and ensure buildings are constructed